So I want to start a new series on my channel, basically what manga I'm reading. Yeah, I get it, it's like a reading log, but I want to do it every week. And what brought this on, I read a lot of manga this week. So if you've seen any of my One Piece videos, it's going to be the same thing, where I just basically give my initial impression right after I read every volume that I read in a week of reading manga. And sometimes it'll be a lot, and sometimes it'll be, well, life gets in the way. You know how it is. But I thought this would be a fun video series to do and let you guys know what I'm reading and kind of what I think about these volumes immediately after reading. And if you guys want me to do like certain series, like I do One Piece, you let me know in the comments down below. So yeah, let's get to it. Okay, this first video is going to be a little different because I read all these volumes and I had this idea, so this is different. But from now on, it's going to be immediately after I read every volume. So just out of the way. Sorry, I've lied to you immediately, and I apologize. Just immediately lied. But let's talk about Blue Lock. Everybody is talking about Blue Lock. Seriously, you can't go on Manga YouTube without hearing about Blue Lock. But let me tell you, it's worth it. It is a soccer anime. Here's how I pitched it to a friend of mine, Rex. It is like if Haiku and My Hero Academia had a baby with soccer. It is so fun. It is so good. Believe the hype. It is. I cannot wait to. You know how you read those first volumes and you're like, oh, well, immediately gonna get the second volume. That is what Blue Lock is. Seriously, not only is it great action and shonen and soccer and sports, and the art is really good, but the actual story of it and the way they merge it with like a death game manga that I'm sure you've read before. And the last thing I'll say about Blue Lock, I was so surprised that the characters actually have that much depth immediately in a first volume. That is hard to do. From chapter 1, these characters, you feel their journey and what they are going through. At least I did immediately. Cannot highly recommend it. I finally started Mob Psycho 100, and people in the comments of videos have told me you need to read Mob Psycho 100. Update, I didn't love it immediately. I think that it takes a lot to get into, but when he breaks and hit that 100%, that is some art, that is some action, and it sold me. It sold me so much on this. So it's written by One. And I believe they are the same person that does One Punch Man. I have never read One Punch Man, but I think it's the same manga. And his style is, some people say it's like crudely drawn and the art is not its standpoint until the art is its standpoint. It goes from stick figures to the Mona Lisa. That's what I'm telling you. It's mind-blowing when he finally breaks. And like I said, it took a lot to build up this character, because they even say like he's not the main character, but then by the end of the first volume, like actually he's the main character. You didn't know he's also the main character. So congratulations, throw a party, you guys were right. And by the end of the first volume, I'm glad I already bought all the other like 8 volumes that are out. So the pot committing actually worked on this one, because oh yeah, I'm going to be reading more Mob Psycho 100, 100%. When it took that left turn, I really thought, I'm going to be honest. Come here, come closer, come closer. I'm going to be honest. I thought I was going to hate it, and I was like, am I going to say this in a video? That's why I'm kind of glad I started doing this kind of video, because I was like, I don't want to just say, like, oh, it's terrible. Give it some time. Into that first volume. Oh, yeah. It doesn't grab you immediately, but boy, do I understand where all the hype is. So Mao is from the same manga as Ranma Half, and it is basically about Nanaka, who finds a gateway, finds Mao, this exorcist from 1923 Japan, or the Taisho era Japan. I think it's 1923. And they basically like fight demons together. I actually told Rex about this, and he had read Ranma Half, and he is like, it's very much like Inuyasha, which I think is the other manga that they did. The one thing, I think this is a absolutely average manga. Like, it's not bad, it's not great, it is right in the middle. And sometimes you need something just like right in the middle. You're not trying to have the greatest thing ever. And this is what this is. And the art style, if you would have told me this manga was written in 1999, 2002, I would believe you. 100%. Some of the art kind of goes above that and gets kind of to current art standards, as I would call it. But it definitely has that feeling of, oh, this came out in 2002? Yeah, it's aged pretty good. It came out in like 2019, 2020, 2021. It's very recent. Not 2003. But if I said Inuyasha, Ranma half, yep, that's what this is. But Mao's an interesting character. Nanaka is okay. And I think that they have so much, or they're trying to do so much with the world, it's taken them a while to build. So I have like 5 volumes of it. Volume 1 had some heavy lifting with building the world and the time gates and jumping back and forth from present day to like 1923. So it had a lot to set up, so I'll give it credit. I will definitely read a volume 2. I don't know if I would recommend it, but it is the definition of average manga. I kind of enjoyed it. Sakamoto Days Volume 2. Listen, if you have not seen my review for the first volume, this series, listen, I know in this video I've talked about like, oh, a banger series, amazing series. This series, out of all of the volumes, out of all the manga series that I'm reading right now, is the one that I will read it the second that I get it, all the way through, non-stop. I love these characters, I love the way they're doing the shonen action, and I love the world that they're setting. And if you've watched some other videos, I talk about this a lot. Listen, John Wick, let's talk about John Wick. John Wick is a great movie. Keanu Reeves, Hitman, it's fantastic. That's actually why I started this YouTube channel. It's my secret. If I get one person to watch John Wick, I've done my duty. I do. I love that movie. I love The Raid. 2 of my favorite movies of all time. But in all seriousness, I think they're doing the action and Hitman tropes, action movie tropes is the perfect way to put it, in unique and fun ways that I personally have not read in a manga before. Like, they're at an amusement park a lot of this volume, and Sakamoto doesn't want his family to know that Hitmen are after them, so him and his buddy are like trying to guard the Hitman and take them out without his family noticing. And it is, if you want action, if you want comedy, if you want really endearing characters, I cannot recommend Sakamoto Days more. And I'm telling you, mark my words, when this gets announced for an anime adaptation and the anime comes out, this series is going to explode. And it's going to be Chainsaw Man levels, Jujutsu Kaisen levels. I come back to this video when that happens, and we'll talk in the comments down below. Like, I have a feeling that's what's going to happen. Well, since we're talking about Hitman, we might as well talk about Hina Matsuri. So I heard this from Boogie Snacks, Mr. Boogie Snacks. You probably know who he is because you're looking at my channel. So, you know, he's the manga guy. Like, he is the guy. But he always talks about it, so it got me interested in being like, all right, well, what's this about? He is not wrong. It's good. So it's about a hitman, and a girl falls into his living room, and she has psychic abilities, and hilarity ensues. Honestly, that's not a bad, like, Cliff Note version of what goes on in the first volume. I mean, obviously it's first volume, so they're still setting up a bunch of stuff. But what I will respect about this manga that not a lot of manga do, it doesn't waste too much time with explanation. Like, okay, obviously there's still a big explanation of like why she got there, or how she got there, or what is she. They kind of just go into, because it's more of what I would call it like slice of life comedy. And the comedy really hits. It's like Way of the House Husband meets like Psyche K. You know the anime Psyche K? It might be a manga as well, but I watched the anime of it. It's like Way of the House Husband, Psyche K made a baby. Why am I making so many babies in this video? But if you're just looking for a quick read with good characters and good comedy and good like action slice of life elements, update, Boogie Snacks, 100% right. Hina Matsuri, definitely recommend. Listen, it's My Dress Up Darling. It's volume 2. If you should watch the anime of My Dress Up Darling, it's one of my favorite animes of this year. Spy X Family is probably my favorite anime as of right now of this year. Actually, Ranking of Kings, I know it didn't come out this year, but all right, this is not that video. Sorry. My Dress Up Darling is so wholesome. I know you're thinking, oh, this guy is getting into that weird stuff. No. I think that the characters of Marin and Gojo, I think the wholesomeness transcends the etchiness of this manga and this anime. And I think they have one of the most interesting relationships that I've experienced recently in anime and manga. I would different, absolute. I can't believe I'm about to make this comparison, but a silent voice. Very different relationships, but where that relationship hinges. There's a beach scene in My Dress Up Darling, very reminiscent of a silent voice. Again, very different. Hey, listen, don't go into a silent voice thinking, oh, My Dress Up Darling, nice. No, it's fantastic. You should watch a silent voice. One day I'll read the manga, but I have done whole videos on My Dress Up Darling. You can check it out if you want to. I'm now just going through the manga, and it's just as good as the anime. And I love that relationship. I think it's again, a little edgy, a little something, but very wholesome. And those characters are fantastic. And that story is carried on the shoulders of those two main characters. And it is very, very well written, in my opinion, for the subject matter they are trying to tackle with this kind of manga. Highly recommend it if you're of age. Even if you're not of age, hear me out a little. No. No, I'm gonna cut that part. Yeah, no, I'm not. Hey, of age, please. I talk about Frieren Beyond Journey's End all the time. I even made a video on the first volume. Here's the thing: what's happened with this series, and again, it's only 4 volumes in, and I still really enjoy the characters of Frieren and all her compatriots on this journey. But what drew me to that first volume and made me even make that video is that I love that it delved into the fact that this person has lived forever. And what does it mean when you live forever and time, the concept of time doesn't really apply to you? What does it mean with like death and illness and old age and how you connect with human beings or people that have a finite amount of time? And that was so interesting and so well done in that first volume. And there are still nuggets and bits and pieces of Frieren's like past, and that's kind of like her pushing through that and coming closer to her companions on this journey. But while it's still good, hey, it's not bad. It's turned into like a Lord of the Rings or a big journey to do this. And the emphasis that I really enjoyed of that first volume of like the mental state of Frieren hasn't really been explored in this last volume for sure. I would even say volume 3 as well. But for what I come to this manga series for, I feel like at least in the last 2, really since volume 1, they have started diverting through that and going more on this. We're getting companions and we're all learning to be like better people, which is fun and again, not a bad manga. And I will continue to read Frieren and still pick up the volumes right when they're released. But I just hope it goes back to what I really enjoyed of that first volume instead of on this path that I think it's going down to become more of like a Lord of the Rings journey manga instead of dealing with the mental battle that Frieren goes through with her mind and how to deal with life and death, which I really enjoyed. Goodnight Punpun. I'm on volume 5. I have 2 more volumes. I'm going to do a whole video on this series. It's exactly like you heard it was. It deals with subject matters that are something I've never experienced in manga before. And I think it deals with it in such a unique way. And I think the art style that they have decided to do this in, where obviously Punpun is the way he is and all the characters around him besides his family are the way they are, and the art is super striking because of that juxtaposition. I have a bunch of thoughts on Goodnight Punpun. That would be crazy on a reading log thing to go into volume 5 of Goodnight Punpun. Just to hear me say this out loud, and if you want, I'll be doing a video about it soon, so definitely check that out when I do that. I am super excited to go in depth in this series. It's unlike anything I've ever read. Yeah. For me, I think that the hype and the stuff you hear about it, hype is such such a weird word. It's like, you're hyped about Wano in One Piece. You're not hyped about this dude's journey into depression. I kind of am. No, I just think it's so well done. And it was framed and a story was told in a way that it makes sense that he goes through all this and the journey through his life. And in this volume, we are in, well, I don't want to spoil stuff. Do you want to cry? Do you want to be sad? And do you really want to ponder some tough questions about life? Read this manga. And I'll have a video about it very soon. It's great. I love it. It's definitely in contention for like some of my top manga ever. It's sad. Do you want to cry? Do you like being sad? I don't. Kind of. I was trying to find a joke to do. You can't even joke about it. It's going to be a very sad video. Bring the tissues. I was not expecting this type of love story from Blue Flag, and by the end of the first volume, it's so well done. Oh man, I loved it. If we're talking about this video and this list, I would put Blue Lock and Blue Flag, both the blues. That is how you do a volume 1. It wastes no time introducing you to these characters and putting them in situations where you learn about them and you start to care about them. And the story Blue Flag is trying to tell, it's 8 volumes, I believe. And I guarantee you next week when you watch another video like this, Blue Flag Volume 2 will be on it. I will power through this series. It blew me away. It's exactly the type of story that I really enjoy. And it's so interesting, and it pulls tropes from like high school love stories and flips it and twists it in different and unique ways. And I cannot say enough about this first volume of Blue Flag. It is stellar. Man, if you want to know what Blue Flag is about, it's a coming of age story about some high school kids. One is a baseball player, one is a shy girl, and one is a kid who doesn't really want to be there. Like in general, just I relate. Like yeah. And they are 3 very different people, and some of them have some stuff in common with the others. And yeah, I'm trying not to spoil things because I think that reveal of the last page of volume 1 is so well done that I don't really want to reveal it. You can kind of tell about halfway through the volume where it's going, you know, but it's still executed very, very well. So yeah, it's a slice of life. There's some comedy definitely in there, and there's some drama definitely in there, and there's some love story definitely in there. And so if you want, you know, a young adult high school love story with some comedy and some drama and some angst of youth, you know, I think this has everything. And I think as a volume 1 to set up the characters, it executes it perfectly. I really hope in 8 volumes that I hope it's one of those strong mangas that we talk about, you know, where it knows the story it wants to tell, it gets in, gets out, doesn't overstay its welcome. I think 8 volumes. I could see this having been like a 3 or 4 volume, like super banger manga. So hopefully it holds it for 8. And by the end of it, it is a beautiful, beautiful story. So it's Spy X Family. If you've been watching the anime, it's amazing. I've watched all of it. So I'm not going to spoil Volume 6. The next time when I read Volume 7, I will definitely talk in depth about it so that, you know, the next video or whenever I read it next. But this time, since it's the first video, I'm not going to spoil anything. I will just say, if you don't know this, Spy X Family, still awesome, still wholesome. Anya, Twilight, I wish they were my family. Bond. The dog, I guess that is a spoiler if you've only watched the anime. They get a dog. He's awesome. I'm on volume 6. It continues to be great, and it continues to be everything you think it's going to be and more. I don't know if it just hit at the right time, but there's a reason that it is as popular as it is right now. And update, the manga is just as good as the anime. I love it. Highly, highly recommend. And to end this video with the manga that I was wanting to read the most this week, the final volume of Wotakoi, Love is Hard for an Otaku. I have talked about this series ad nauseum. It ends on a great note. I think that I talked earlier about Blue Flag being 8 volumes strong in and out. This is that story. It is, well, technically it's 12 volumes, but 6 American volumes. And I think it does not overstay its welcome. It tells the story it wants to tell. It has everything from like drama, slice of life, comedy. The characters are some of the best characters I've read in manga. I really related to a lot of those characters, and it hit me in a special place. Wotakoi, Love for an Otaku will always hold a special place for me because it's the first manga that I ever branched out of, hey, I'm gonna punch that guy manga, and kind of branched out in my reading taste. And I'm so glad I did, because now I'm reading stuff like Goodnight Punpun, Blue Flag. Even like I probably wouldn't even have read Blue Lock. You know what I mean? Because I was like, sports? Who does sports? I am so sad that it is over, but I am so happy to have experienced that story. I can't say enough good things. I'm sure if you've watched any of my videos, or really, it's actually gotten very popular on like manga YouTube and stuff. So I'm sure you've heard about it. If you have not given it a shot, give it a shot. I think it's a special manga, and the rereadability of that manga is through the roof. I've already reread like the first 2 or 3 volumes a handful of times already. I love it. 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 Sad that it's over. Glad that it happened. So that is the end of the video. Hopefully you liked this idea. And like I said, next week, I'm going to do the video or film it right when I get done reading it. So it's going to be a little different. I just had this idea, and I've read so many good manga this week that I just really want to do this type of video. So hopefully you like this format. Let me know in the comments down below. I kind of wanted to keep it short and sweet. And obviously, if I read fewer volumes, I'll go deeper into what's going on in those volumes. So just know when you watch these types of videos, and I'll say it in the beginning too before we start, but like, I'm going to spoil stuff. Like it's going to happen. Because if I'm reading volume 5, I'm going to talk about volume 5. But yeah, I've been thinking about this idea a lot lately, and I just decided to go ahead and do it. So please let me know what you thought down below. Do you want me to go into more detail, less detail? Do you just want me, to put the manga up and be like, yes, or no, or eh? That would be a wild video. It'd be like a minute and a half. Just like, cover, yes, no, eh. Kind of funny though. But yes, as always, if you've watched any of this video, I appreciate you so much. You guys are amazing, as I always say, and I really do hope, hey, I hope if you're having a bad day, hope it gets better. If you're having a good day, I hope it gets great. It means the world to me that you guys put up with my ramblings and enjoy it, and I hope I make your day a little better, because talking with you guys makes my day a little better. So yeah, thank you for watching the video. I'll see you next time.